Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I'm Ashdin, Doctor, your habit coach. And today we're going to be talking about being sorted. We're going to be talking about spirituality and all these aspects of life. And this is a podcast that I'm actually very, very excited about because something very interesting happened to me a few months ago that I'm going to share when we start the podcast. But let's start by welcoming our guest on the podcast. Rashi Khanna, welcome to the
Hello.
podcast.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm so excited about this because, like, when we decided to do the podcast, you said, I want to talk about spirituality, I want to talk
Yes.
about being sorted. And I think this is a time when that is so needed right
Yes.
now, right?
Yes.
Firstly, how did this start for you?
I think I was very young when all these things really, interested me. Spirituality as a genre. I mean, it's a vast definition of this one word, and everyone defines it differently. But for me, it was more about getting to know life beyond the material world, right? And I think that would have, you always think of things that will bring you peace, or, I was always drawn to how we meditate, or what is spirituality, who are gurus, and all that. So I think very early on in my life, I found a guru when I was 21. And I sort of was pushed into this world of spirituality, and it's really different, and it's amazing. Like, it opened new doors for me. But still, I think by and by, when I was going through my profession, you have so much stress and everything, it sort of takes a backseat. But there was always this question, okay, I really want to pursue this. And I read a lot. So for me, I would read self-help books, I would read spiritual books. And now there are so many. And everyone speaks about karma or destiny, and all these conversations always interested me. So I think my journey started very early on, and then I moved into it and into it. And recently I found, okay, I mean, after all these years, I found my path, and I'm very happy, and that's why probably I'm here to share it also. And yeah, I mean, it's been life changing, and that's why I've been saying that I am much more sorted than before. Like, I am sorted.
I love it. 21.
Yes.
So, how was that conversation with you when you were 21? Like, what was your first initial thought about it?
I think there was a phase that I was going through in my personal life which had sort of put me in a very depressive state. I don't want to really talk about that experience, but I can just say that I think everyone goes through some or the other situation in life where they think they are in depression. Half of us don't even really know what it is, and I don't think it's a topic that was very widely discussed
Correct.
some 7-8 years back. So I think at that time I didn't know how to deal with it. Now you don't want to give pain to your friends or your family, so you have to deal with it on your own. Now how do you deal with it? Like, you're constantly upset, you're constantly, you can't sleep. It was that level. And then at that time I was like, something has to save me, because I'm just getting into a loop of thoughts and it's never ending. And then I realized your mind is your biggest enemy actually, and you just got to like really hold it. And I think at that time I found a guru through somebody, and he's not in physical form, but a lot of what he said made sense to me. I don't want to really name him at this point, but he's somebody who really guided me through life with his ideology, and I felt a lot at peace. There were these satsangs that I used to attend every Sunday when I was in Bombay for a year. I used to go every Sunday, go to this satsang, sit with those people, and talk about life in general, and very meaningful conversations. I would look forward to that Sunday coming. And I think every Sunday, getting to know all these things that you've never known before sort of blew my mind. And I was like, oh, there's this another world to it. And I think eventually I still do satsangs, and my birthday is like always a satsang. There's always a satsang on my birthday. So yeah, I mean, these things, and a lot of my friends would say, Arey, but this is for later years in life, which I think is ridiculous because that needs to change. I think we need to start addressing the way we think, or somebody needs to teach you how to think, because you can be taught. It's just that we don't know how to handle it, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it. So I think at that time I was just guided very well in my early years, and that sort of helped me come out of where I was mentally. And
Was there like an aha moment that happened
there
during
was
this
no
process?
aha moment. I think, see, when you're going through something, you have to go through it. There's no other way to it. You have to give it time. It's not a magic pill that, okay, one day I'll wake up and now I'm sorted and it's work, and it takes work. Um, like your job. It's like, and I read this beautiful quote which said, the tree doesn't grow the day the seed is sown. So you need to give it time, you need to focus on it. And I think a lot of us just give it away saying, "Arey, time nahi hai," but time to hai, you're just not making time for it. Like the kriyas that I do, which I'm going to talk about, is just 15-20 minutes, right? So how do I not have 15-20 minutes in a day? And I give time a lot of importance, and my day has like 16 to 17 hours I work. I still make that time. So if somebody tells me, "Arey, we can't make time," I don't want to buy it. Because if you give that time, I think your life will be sorted in the future. That's
Correct.
just the faith you have to begin with and go into it.
I think also the thing is at 21,
Mhm.
you're so like, but the spirituality is for old people.
Yes,
It is
yes.
also fuddy-duddy.
Yes.
I don't completely understand it. Like mummy papa bolte hain, satsang jana
Yeah.
hai. It's almost that kind of a feeling, right? It's so interesting because we keep talking about mental health, right? And,
Yes.
and like you said, the mind is the problem.
Yes.
It's the one that forms all of it.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that the mind is a tool, and it's our
Yes.
strongest tool that we have.
Mhm.
But it's if you don't know how to use it, it's like having a hammer and whacking your toe with it every single time,
Yes.
right? That's what we basically do with our mind. Is because no one's taught us how to actually nail in the wall.
Yes, yes. And I think, see, there are different definitions to it, there are different ways to deal with it. And I just think my journey started when I went to sort of art of living. So my question was always like, what is meditation? My mom always wondered, what is meditation? Do I sit in one corner, shut my eyes, focus on one point, and just keep focusing on that point? And I'm like, I mean, that didn't work for me. So I was like, I don't know what this is because of constant thoughts. So you need to be guided. You can't just sit in one corner and sit. That guidance comes from a guru who's probably going to guide you, and you can have, I mean, everyone can have a different guru. And I know there's another conversation about gurus in general, because there are some fake ones, let's just be honest. So you don't know who to follow, what to do, so you have to make that journey alone. Meditation is all about surrender. It's not really about concentration. Concentration is opposite to surrender. You're concentrating on something, matlab you're trying really hard to focus.
Correct.
You don't have to focus in meditation. You just have to let go. You just have to surrender. So there are two kriyas that I do, if I can just
Of course,
talk
please.
about that. There is Sudarshan Kriya, which is basically breathing exercises. It's just a 25-minute thing, and I'll tell you how it affected my life. But first, I'll tell you there's this kriya, 25 minutes of this, and there's this course called Sahaj Samadhi that the Art of Living offers. So earlier, पहले जन्मों में, I mean पहले बहुत सालों पहले, not जन्म, पहले बहुत सालों पहले, अनाथ उसको बोलते थे जिनका गुरु नहीं होता था.
Interesting.
Right? Not parents. But
Correct.
if you don't have a guru, you're an anath. So a lot of us are anath people, right? Today, we don't understand the importance of that, and they would give you a mantra.
We're spiritually orphaned. That's
Yes,
almost the way to
yes,
think about
yes.
it.
So they would give you a mantra. I didn't know about any of this till I went to Art of Living, and that mantra basically cuts your mental thought process, whatever you're thinking during meditation. So I did a silence program also. There was an advanced thing that I did for 3 days. I was in silence. So silence means no phone, no books, no TV, no nothing. You're constantly meditating for some 9 hours. It's not easy at all. Like I died. I wanted to run away on the
Insane.
first day because
Yeah.
the mind will not let you. Your body will not let you sit. And they say that this is the Rahu Kal. It will not let you sit. So you have to fight it, And I think during the silence program, I did the Sahaj Samadhi where I got the mantra. So in Sahaj Samadhi, you get the mantra from a teacher, or they've been, from years they've been trained in it, in giving you a mantra according to your aura, as you say. I thought, I don't know how this works. I don't think this works. Like, all these questions will come in. How can the mind be stopped? And there's so much. So I was in silence, and she said, okay, just, there was a guided meditation, and she said, just use this mantra. It's not like a long mantra like Om Namah Shivaya or Ek Onkar, like not those long. It's just a word.
Okay.
So she says, invoke it from your heart and just say that mantra. I was sitting and I thought, okay, in my mind I'm singing a song. And I'm like, okay, let's see if the mantra cuts the song. So I sang the song and I used the mantra, and the song got cut in my head. So I was like, no, this is just my mind playing games. Let me try another word. So these are all the questions that will come in, because kahin na kahin to,
You want proof,
yeah,
right?
you want proof.
Like,
yeah.
how is this working?
Yes. So then I used another word, like random, some word like a red or like a om or something that, maybe this will cut it. Nothing cut that song. It kept coming back. But again, I invoked the mantra and it sort of got cut again. And I'm like, is this my mind playing games, or this is actually that? I was so ecstatic. I wanted to fall on that teacher's feet, because I was like, what have you given me, Because this is just constantly cutting my thought process. So then I'm free. Like my mind is free now. That's also a problem because it doesn't
Now
want
you
to
know
be
what to
free.
do with
Yeah.
it.
Now what do you do with it? Now mind is free. So then you can focus more on your center. Now I understood while meditation.
Quick question: do you use this mantra in life as well, as in like
So
before
it's
the podcast or before you
so I
get
just
on
did it
set?
in the car.
Okay.
Like it's a sad samadhi thing. You can do it anywhere. You 20 minutes. You just have to shut your eyes, and there's a process. You invoke the mantra, and you focus on your center and your breathing. So there are different techniques.
Right.
But sad samadhi, basically that I was taught, gave me that mantra, which has sort of changed my life. So the first 10 days into this kriya and everything, they said, okay, you want to give us Guru Dakshina, do it for like some 50 days or something continuously. Obviously, they want us to form a habit. And I said, so I'm a very diligent person. Like if you give me something, I will do my best in it. Like just to see, you know. Otherwise, ye shortcut nahi hai. This is not. That's
What's
not
the
my
point
scene.
otherwise,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I sort of did it for 10 days, and after 10 days, I was just smiling randomly, sitting in a car or so, you know, my parents are sitting, and I'm just smiling, and I don't question it. You know, you think I'm a fool, but it actually gave birth to my joyful side. I mean, not gave birth. It just sort of, you know, it's like you're clouded and suddenly the clouds go off and the sunshine, you feel like that. So I was constantly smiling and I was constantly joyful. I think I usually never get angry also as much, but that anger went away. There was no, I mean, I just feel like I'm a very different person. And I think I'm now about 45 days into it. I make sure I do it every day, and it's sort of really impacted my life in a very good way.
Amazing. That feeling is what? The feeling that you have afterwards, like when you're saying that
I
I'm
think
smiling.
you can call it nirvana. You can call it, I don't know, bliss. I don't know. This is the feeling that probably a lot of us have really, really wanted for so long. You just sit, you don't want to open your eyes, and you know, you just want to be inside, and you're really happy. And see, I'm also saying this from a place where my job has a lot of stress, constant stress about everything.
And the amount that you have to work, it's crazy.
Yes. And despite that, if I'm like smiling and if I'm happy, then this is working. Because, you know, there's so much of stress, there's so many people at you, and you know, you're constantly working, there's so much in your head. But when I sit for those 20 minutes, I just don't want to open my eyes because I'm so blissful. And I think that's what sets me for the day. So I think, it just changed my life, yeah. And I've just been talking about it to people, saying, you have to go do this course, you have to do this.
That's the thing, right? Like once we experience it, we want everyone to feel this. And, you know, I keep telling people this, you know, I'm in the pursuit of happiness, and everyone's talking about happiness. And I keep telling them, you guys realize that happiness is sea level. Happiness is normal. When you experience bliss, when you experience ecstasy, those are completely different states from happiness. That is what you should be actually having a goal for, like you said. The reason why I harped on this question was because I knew the word bliss was actually on your lip, because that is actually what you feel, right? That I can't even explain it.
Have you ever had such an experience where you felt blissful?
So we were talking about Kubra just before we started the podcast. So her name for me is Annoyingly Happy.
Okay.
Because I am forever in that state with her. Like, why can't you just be upset? Like, what's wrong with you? So yeah, so absolutely, being in that state should become a norm for us, right? Obviously, things will pull us down, things will be sad, but getting back into that state should be easy.
Yes, I just think there are tools available. We just have to sort of latch onto them, because that's where, you know, we'll find bliss. Or even if not bliss, at least in the beginning, you'll feel less stressed.
Correct.
And I feel happiness is also a little overrated. I don't think we really need to chase that. We need to chase a peaceful mindset.
Yeah.
And that basically, it's a joyful state. It's different from happiness. So I don't think we really need to chase. I just want to be happy. I just stop chasing happiness, dude. Like,
and when you chase it again, you're not surrendering.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Again, it's basically another form of desire that you've created for yourself.
Yes.
I'm going to tell the listeners the story that I was telling you just before we started the podcast, and we'll come and talk about that.
Okay, done.
So, I was telling Rashi about how I was at a party a few months ago, and this was a 24-year-old's birthday party. And she's talking to her friends, like, guys, I'm turning 24. What do I expect? And a person was 25 was saying, life is over as you know it. Okay, 25 is the worst. You have no idea. It is terrible. And just went on and on and on. And then somebody else in the party was talking about, oh my God, I left my depression medicine at home. Somebody else is talking about, I need to get rid of my anger. I'm going to beat up the ice. You know, it was just that kind of a vibe at that party. Everyone was talking about these kinds of things. And I was like, 32, you've gone through this. You've passed the 25-year-old stage. So what would you tell them
Hmm.
to start doing so that they don't relish this
Hmm.
aspect of everything's the worst, but actually understand and experience life
Yeah,
the way it can be?
I don't think I'm any yogi or a guru to be giving a solution to this. But
From life experience.
yeah, I think all I can say is that a lot of us go through things. Right now, they've just given it terms like, oh, it's depression, oh, it's that, oh, it's this. I think first we need to stop focusing on that negative thought process, because a lot of times we sink ourselves down. Like it's a loop. It keeps coming back to you. That is exactly why we need meditation, or to understand what meditation is, because it took me 10 years just to understand what it is. Can I sit in one corner and focus? No, I can't. Oh, but it's not focus now, so it's
It's something
changed
else.
my,
Correct.
yeah. So I think there are tools now to sort of come out of it also. So if they're giving so much importance to depression, and they're giving so much importance to social media, which I mean, it's a boon and a bane, but they should take out those 15-20 minutes and give it a shot. I'm not even saying like you have to do it. I'm just saying give it a shot and see how you feel. So there are ways out also. And I think, I don't know if it's fancy today just to say that, Ari, I am also depressed, Ari, you're not. I mean, you just need to be more grateful for things you have. That just, I believe in abundance. So, I believe in that thought process. And everything automatically gets set if you start on this path of spirituality, beginning through probably meditation, just getting to know who you are. And then all these things of I'm depressed, this will not even come to you. Anger will stop coming to you. Yeah, I mean, they just have to give it a shot. That's all.
So give me three things that maybe people can try from 25-year-olds can try from now onwards to at least add to their life. So one is meditation that we've got. What are some other things that you feel everyone should be doing at this time?
I think now reading has become like this dead art. Like if you say that I'm reading, they're like, oh, but you have this online. Now you have this and you can. I said, no, but nothing beats really reading, because it just sort of opens up your imagination and you can imagine for yourself.
Correct.
You go into your own world. That's your vision. It just helps your imagination. Read it. Like, there's so much stuff. I was never a reader when I was growing up. A friend of mine used to read a lot. She started giving me books and I started reading books, and those were thrillers at that time. And eventually I took English honors. I studied in LSR. So my whole world was around books. Like there were times when I would read like 1,000 pages in 3 days. Like that's what my speed had become.
Fantastic.
And then I understood how life changing it is also. So I think books are very important in life. You should read them, the right ones. And there are a lot of them available also.
Any books that have had an impact that you
So
would
right
suggest?
now, I think I'm reading Osho, the 112 Techniques of Meditation. It blew my mind. I mean, I am not. See, I want to see everyone's. That's just because I'm interested in it. So I sort of want to see everyone's vision towards like how they define meditation, what spirituality for them, and how they reached an so-called enlightenment. That's why I'm reading all this. So when I started reading 112 Techniques, I had no expectations. I didn't know what it is about. It blew my mind, because there are things that you usually talk about karma, you talk about destiny, you'll find it in a lot of books in different ways, in different versions. But what Osho talks about in his book is absolutely brilliant. Putting aside everything personal from the Netflix documentary that I saw, putting everything aside, I still feel that man somewhere had so much knowledge that we can learn from.
Yeah.
So for me, that is definitely one book. But it's a very heavy read, so I wouldn't, definitely for beginners, I wouldn't suggest it at all.
Are these by chance the same meditative practices that Shiva was teaching Parvati?
Yes.
Okay,
There are 112 techniques, and I think she went through.
Which is your favorite so far that you've reached?
So I think so. I have found my own way. So there's one technique for each person, and you have to choose from the 112 techniques. Once you know all of them, you can choose. Now, who has the patience, firstly, to know it?
To try all of them.
Yes. So, no, but you read about it. It's like one meditation is about just focusing on your breath and seeing that when you inhale, there's a point where
everything stops.
It stops.
Yeah.
And when you exhale, there's a point where everything stops. At that time, the mind is not working. So that is my technique. So when I'm into meditation, or even when I'm doing Sahaj Samadhi, I include this where I'm just constantly trying to not even like focus, just sort of seeing. I can't explain the difference at this point, because only people who meditate will know this. But you're just visually seeing, okay, there's breath going in, there's a point, okay, yes, it stops, and breath going out. So that's my technique. But there are a lot of other techniques that he talks about, and each to their own. But it really blew my mind. That's one book that I am reading.
That's brilliant. It's a
Yes.
brilliant set of. Do you realize that moment when you're breathing on your exhale or on
Hmm.
your inhale when your lungs are empty or when your lungs are full?
When I know it.
No, but that moment, that pause.
Hmm.
When do you feel that pause the most? When your lungs are full or when your lungs are empty? When you practice it,
I think when my lungs are empty, I feel it
like,
more. Yes.
and then you feel it, right?
Yes. Yes. Majorly, yes. Then.
My favorite meditation, I'm going to share this,
Yes.
is where Shiva talks about contemplating the size of the universe. Have you reached that one yet?
No.
So he says that I want you, so imagine the size of the universe, the
Hmm.
vastness of the
Hmm.
universe. And it's a beautiful meditation because when you start actually contemplating,
Hmm.
questioning, understanding, thinking about the size of the universe, your brain stops because your mind
Yes.
cannot hold that much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, I give up.
Hmm.
Surrender, third. So that was one of my favorite
Hmm.
ways of thinking about it because you normally think empty, right?
Yes.
And he's saying, no, borrow it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so 112 meditations.
Meditations by Osho. That's my favorite. I wouldn't suggest it, of course, for anyone who's beginning it. Apart from that, spirituality wise, I also read Karma by Sadhguru
Okay.
just to understand how his take on karma is. And I have understood for everyone is different.
Mm.
You just need to find what works for you, probably in this case, because
Do you have a take on karma?
I mean, it's a very complicated relationship.
Mm.
But I think I've understood it very well.
Okay.
So there's this lady called B.K. Shivani
Mhm.
who I've heard a lot, and especially during the times when I would feel low, I would end up seeing her videos, and they made a lot of sense to me. So I got a clear version of what karma is and what destiny is. For me, that was sorted because of her. She doesn't even know it. Maybe she'll know one day.
Oh, she
But
listens to the podcast, so
oh, wonderful.
no, I'm joking, but
Oh,
maybe we'll make her listen to the podcast.
yeah. I mean, she is.
Manifest, right?
Yeah, she is somebody who's amazing, and she sort of. So the thing is, basically, everything that comes into your life. Oh, don't judge me because this is what works for me. Everything that comes to you in your life is your karma from the past,
Hmm.
and however you react to it today
Hmm.
will form the karma of the future.
Hmm.
So your reaction is the only thing that is in your hand, and nothing else. So that's what has worked for me. So I've understood, okay, even if my enemy is supposedly my friend because they're actually helping me become a better person.
Correct.
So that's helped me move on. That's helped me forgive people. And, so now I
It
have.
changes your perspective,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think the strongest part of this is that you believe the life is conspiring for you.
Yes.
Everything's working for you to become better.
Yes.
No matter whether it's an enemy or backstabber or whoever it is.
Yes.
It's a lovely insight.
Yes. So I think that is something that has really worked for me. So anything that happens in my life, I just surrender to it. I'm like, okay, now this is happening. Okay, now we'll deal with this. Because I really want to enjoy this life that I have gotten.
Yeah.
And despite everything else, I think it's beautiful. There's so much to be grateful for. And I genuinely stop and look at the flowers. I'm like that person. I'll just see it and I'm like, oh, how blissful. Oh, how nice the world is. And people may think I'm crazy. I don't care. I've gone through enough to be able to come to this place. And I think when we go through a lot, also our interest in this deepens, I feel. So, I've gone in depth and that's why I'm sorted.
Third book?
Okay, third book.
It can be non-spirituality as well.
So, my favorite book that really had a huge effect on me was Fountainhead.
Okay.
It's something that completely stood against everything I knew about man. Yes. I was blown because I was like, she actually created a world where you can't question anything because she's created it, like, with every law and every rule. And it's sort of, I was 19 at that time. I was so affected by it. I called my chachu who'd referred the book to me. I said, why did you refer this to me? Because, this is like, this goes against everything I've learned. Be selfless, be selfless. And here she's talking about be selfish. And, man is everything, man is everything. It had a profound impact on me. So that book for sure, just to understand how philosophies are, just to understand how there are parallel takes on life. But I feel at the end of the day, because you seek to be peaceful, you can find your way, but you need to keep searching anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to keep on the lookout.
Yes.
Okay, so one is read, right?
Yes.
We were talking about what are things that this 24-year-old can do to make 25 not suck and actually make it amazing. So one is read. Then?
I also feel that there's too much of, I understand social media is something that you need to be on. That's why your work is. That's where a lot of our work also happens on social media. But you need to disconnect from it also. Like you're constantly at it. There's a quote I read. It's like a fridge. You open it, there's really nothing, and you shut it again.
Yeah.
You're just wasting your time. So what I did was I switched on the screen time on my phone just to understand how many hours I'm wasting on social media. And initially it was about 5 hours.
Wow.
That's also less, trust me. And then
It's a wormhole, right? You
yeah.
can just like get lost in it.
And then I think I came back to like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, and then I was also realizing, okay, this is mostly work. But yeah, I mean, you need to know where to disconnect because nothing on social media is real. Everything is fake. There is nothing real. You see me smiling. Yes, I usually smile, but maybe I'm really depressed, but I'll smile for the camera and put it on social media. That's just how it is. Yes, I'm also a part of it, and I'm totally telling you, yes, I am a part of it.
Yeah.
But I feel you need to be disconnected from it. That is one thing I would really tell this generation. And also, they're obsessed with these numbers on Instagram. Oh, how many numbers do you have? I think that's very depressing. A lot of times they'll change the way they look just to get this validation from I don't know who. So I think you just got to be true to yourself and not worry about, oh, where will the numbers take me? That's not really your life. You focus on yourself, you'll have numbers automatically. That's how it works. So yeah, I mean, just taking a sort of a break if you can, or just monitoring your the time you're spending on it will really help your mental health, I feel.
You know, especially when you talk about art of living, when you talk about Osho, they all talk about this word called the ego.
Yes.
Right? We haven't discussed it so far at all.
Yes.
Now, in the industry that you are, how do you manage to balance ego, understand ego, and actually use it? Or
See, when I see people or when I meet people, and I meet egoistic people a lot, I pity them more than I judge them, because I'm like, I'm sorry that you ended up becoming like this. Because there is always someone bigger than you. There's always someone at that it's a mountain that you can't see the tip of. So everyone's like above everyone in some way or the other. I just feel bad for them because they've not really. I mean, ego is something that just ruins your life. I just feel, it's just something that you can't live with it. You can't be peaceful with ego being in place. So you really have to put it aside. Putting it aside is also very difficult because you don't know how to do it also. So yeah, I mean, so for me, as I said, what is in my hand is a reaction to a certain thing. So I'm not saying that you'll slap me and I'll just be like, oh, okay, I'm leaving. Maybe I'll just leave anyway. I won't slap you back. But that's how again karma works. So for me, it is myself first. So it's about my mental health, and I don't want to be affected by someone else's mental health, which is not as great, because clearly they have ego and clearly they have anger issues. Like, I've met those people. I've met vindictive people also, and I sort of pity them, because I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing with your life? So for me, I don't take it personally at all. I just try to understand where they're coming from. And yeah, I mean, I don't give it too much importance. I'm like, this is your life, you're leading it this way, I'm leading it my way. But I'm extremely honest, and that sometimes has gone against me also. So I'm very bluntly honest, because I don't know any other way. This is what it is. Like, I'll not sugarcoat it for you. There's no sense of, oh, put it nicely. There's no niceness there. It's just, okay, this is what it is.
Correct.
It's not hurting you, but it's not sort of massaging anyone's ego. So of course I've gone into trouble with it, because they'll be like, who does she think she is? I've had that. But my intention,
which is ego in any case.
yeah,
Who does she think she is?
but my intention is never that.
Right.
So I can't help what others think. My whole intention is never to hurt anyone. And basically, because the reaction is in my hand, I want to make sure that it is in the best interest of my own self.
You also would be getting tons of criticism, right? Like,
of course.
How do you
see? As I said again, like
you can't not care about it, right?
See, of course, when I was younger, it used to affect me a lot. Firstly, I had issues with being famous also, because I didn't like it initially. I was like, Hurry, why do they want my autograph? Hurry, why do they want my picture? Because I'm more of a home bird. I'm always at home. So whenever you get out, and South fans are like incredibly amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they make you who you are. So they show their love in whatever way. And you're like, Hurry, but I'm just a human being. That's how I feel. Then I understand, okay, this is what comes with being an actor, which I understood in time. So of course, you'll have criticism. You'll have too much of flattery also. You just need to know yourself first. As I said, it's very important to know who you are. And criticism, again, I feel bad for those people who do it. Imagine taking time to write some shit about someone under their picture is like another level of sadness that you're going through, that you need to take out that frustration on social media. I feel bad for them. I don't judge them at all, or I don't like, oh my god, how did he or she say this? I'm like, okay, I mean, dude, I feel bad for you. Why do you have to do this in life? Imagine your priority is to see something and criticize it, sitting under a mask, because social media is a mask. You know, you can open some random these fake accounts, write whatever you want, and come back. I mean, it's sad that you have to take out your frustration somewhere.
And so much time to do.
Yes. So, I mean, I just feel bad for them. That's all. I don't take it personally at all. At all. But of course, if the
But that's a journey, right? I'm sure you
Yes.
took it personally at some point of time.
I did. It did affect me in the beginning, as I said. But I'm saying, as soon as I was seeking these tools and they were also seeking me, you know, sort of that thing, what you seek is seeking you, is actually true. And more and more that I delved into spirituality or meditation or in general about, you know, learning about people's nature, I sort of let it go. Now it doesn't bother me at all. If it's constructive criticism, of course, you know, I'll take it head on and I'll work on myself. But most of it is not. So, yeah.
So ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? Take on the constructive stuff, leave all the other stuff
Yes.
aside.
See, a lot of it that we are talking about is also like easy to say. When people say that, Are, you're just saying it. You know, it's easier to say than to do. But I don't think it's difficult to do because I've done it. You know, so if I can do it with my schedules, so can anybody else, I feel.
So what does your day typically look like? Like, let's
So-
get into the habitsy bit. So, like, what are the non-negotiable habits for you?
I am very, very disciplined as a human being. And so it's come to a point where my parents are like, is she even our daughter? Like, you know, like what is wrong with her? I mean, of course, they're proud of me. But somewhere, you know, it's just this thing of, okay, like she's too disciplined. But I think that's also one of the tools that you need to be successful in life, I feel. I'm not saying that I'm very successful or anything. I'm just saying that, you know, it brings a state of calmness to you, that you're giving everything you can. Rest of nothing else is in your hand. So yeah, so my day basically starts with, most of the time I'm shooting. There was a time for 3 years I didn't have any break. I was
Wow.
constantly shooting. There was no Sunday, there was nothing. And I don't think anybody should do that to themselves, because I affected my physical health with it. But yeah, there was a phase I was working like 70 to 18 hours every day. It's crazy. So yeah, basically it starts in early morning. So I light a diya also at home, because I think it actually has more to do with the vibrations in the house or whichever hotel that I'm staying in, because I feel it wards off the negative energy. And I feel in hotel rooms, so many people stay in that hotel room, they all leave their auras, because I believe in it.
Correct.
That the vibe, the energy, and we keep traveling. So my first thing is I light a diya in the morning, and depending on what time the shoot is, I have to figure out a way to put my workout in. I'm also very strict with my workouts. There's no choice actually. I have to be. So yeah, I mean, either it's early morning or it's in the evening. We shoot usually 10 to 12 hours a day. And apart from that, of course, now I've started the Kriya, which is 20 minutes. And sometimes in the car I do it. Sometimes on the flight I do it. I just have to shut my eyes and go into myself. So I'm like, do not disturb. I just go into it. So yeah, I mean, basically non-negotiable stuff is workouts and the discipline to sort of finish my books, because if I've started something, I need to finish it. And
Do you read multiple at a time?
no,
One at a time?
no, one at a time.
Hmm.
So I have to finish something unless I feel it's really bad and I have to move on.
Yeah, but there's no shame in ending a book,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
that's important.
So yeah, I mean, reading, keeping that close to. So I think my mind is always occupied with work. And now that I meditate, now it's empty. So now the problem is, now it'll get filled again. So what will it fill itself with, you know? So as I said,
Put
it
good
is-
stuff in.
Yes, I just
Yeah.
want to make my mind my friend. That's all. You know, I'm just on the process of that. So yeah, my life is pretty sorted in that way, like the way the shoot goes. And I'm not addicted to fame or money, honestly, if you ask me. So I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, but your profession is like, you know, you don't know if what will happen tomorrow. I said, you don't know if you live tomorrow. Like, you know, I don't want to think about tomorrow. I just want to give it all today.
Correct.
But that's what I do. Yeah.
And do you have like a night routine, before bed routine? What are the habits there?
See, the thing is, the habit usually is to not be on the phone in the night for sure.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to sleep with certain thoughts in my head. I'm just scrolling, and it's basically now proven also scientifically that you keep if you keep scrolling, it's not really good for your system, for your
Correct.
health. It's just addictive. It's addictive behavior. And a lot of people don't understand it. And I was also part of it, by the way. I would keep scrolling, nothing. Like, it has nothing to do with me when I was scrolling. And I'm like, what is wrong with me?
And you put it down and you're like, okay, I'm not picking it up again.
Yeah,
And
and then
you
you
immediately pick it up
yes,
again.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's an addiction, and that's why we need to fight it. Otherwise, it'll take over our minds and it'll take over everything. Technology will do that. I mean, we just have to be careful. And there's this show I watched, Black Mirror. I don't know if you've seen it. It's crazy. It talks about how technology is going to take over in the future and what's going to happen because of that. And I do see us going there, and it's really horrific.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to use it in the best possible way that we can.
I think that, like we started off by talking about the mind, right? It's a tool. Now,
Yes.
are you going to use the tool well, or are you going to use the tool badly?
Yes.
That's all it. Because you can do your meditation. Lots of people start off with Headspace and
Yes.
the mindfulness meditations. All of that happens on the phone.
Yes, I mean, a lot of it is YouTube guided meditations. But again, guided meditations also, because I've gone through them, it never helped me, honestly. I was like, okay, getting you sleep, or thinking of something, or it'll manifest. It doesn't work out like that. Like, drop all your desires first thing. But nobody can drop desires. It's very easy to say. I'm saying this because I've worked on it for so many years that today I say, Arey, okay, maybe there are desires, but they've cut down drastically from
Where
where
they
I
were.
come. Yeah.
Because dropping your desires is also desire.
Yes,
These
exactly.
are all the little traps that we
See,
keep
that's why we
creating for
don't have
ourselves.
to go crazy. I'm just saying, live your life every moment the way it comes to you, and it is beautiful. Just see that side of it and take it as it comes, day by day, and not go crazy over what's going to happen in the future. What is in your hand is the present. Are you giving your all before you sleep? See, that's what I do before I sleep also. I think, okay, what have I done today? Have I given my best? Have I done it to the best of my ability? And I value time a lot. So I'm like, okay, this is the time I gave to this is the time I gave to that. It has to be constructive. I'm here in this world for something. Now, what is it? I'm just trying to figure out my way. But I will. I'm sure.
Of course.
Yes.
Easy peasy.
Well,
Do you have a gratitude practice?
so yeah, I when I go into my meditation, I think of my guru, and I'm also a Shiv Bhakt. Like, I believe in Shivji a lot, and there is gratitude that I give to my Shiv, to my God. And in that meditation, I'll be grateful for everything that I have, because I do it every day. There's a thing that you say when you're meditating. You started with, I want nothing, I do nothing, and I am nothing. It's just a different statement. Somebody else will say, you're not body, you're not soul, all that. But it works, because what you realize is you're a nobody. In the face of the world, you're an ant. Literally.
In
You'll
the scheme
die.
of time, you're nothing.
Yeah, it's like the waves of the ocean. You'll rise and you'll fall. And it's that fast. So what have you done with your life, and why do you give yourself so much importance in the first place? Don't do that. So yeah, I think that is something that great. Of course, I'm grateful for everything, and I do that when I'm meditating. I just say the things that I'm grateful for. And when you say I am nothing, there's a very profound thing one of my teachers at Art of Living said. They said, you don't even decide the name that's given to you when you're born. You're just a prana that's entered the body and become the body. So they're like, find that prana from where you come. So you're actually nobody. You're just a part of a God particle. As you all have it. We all have it. You're God for me. Everyone's God for me, right? So just that understanding of those things, that's why you need these tools. That's why you need these teachers, and you need to value them a lot. Because, and I mean, when I was in Art of Living, I wanted to become a teacher after the effect it had on me. I was like, listen, I really need to teach people. So yeah,
So when
of
you
course.
talk to your friends about all of this, what's their reaction normally?
See, they've known me from when I was 21, and I mean, not 21. In fact, from before that, I have friends from when I was 15, from when I was 14.
Right.
So they've seen how I have grown, and they think that I'll probably put on some robe and go to the Himalayas and sit. Because they are like, this is what you'll do. But I said, I'm not living, right? I'm living the best of my life. I'm traveling, I'm meeting people. I supposedly have fans also, so I'm taking it all in. I'm also going through ups and downs. It's not like my life is a smooth ride, but I'm viewing it in a very nice way. And you have to view it in a very nice way. So even friends around me, some of them are like, they've had panic attacks, they've had anxiety attacks, and some have been really into depression. So they call me. They do that a lot. Like every time they're going through something, they'll call me. I'm like their guru. I'll tell them, okay, this is what is happening. This is how you need to deal with it. But I think they've gotten used to the kind of person I am now, so it's not really shocking for them. But I think a lot of people don't know this side of me,
Hmm.
like, because I've never spoken about it, and I've always been very private. So the whole reason why I've started talking today is because now I've found my way. Now I just have to show them the light that, okay, this is what worked for me. If in any case, even if it changes one life, I'll be grateful for it. You seek
Absolutely.
your meaning, in life. I think for me, it's just bringing that bliss in other people's lives is why probably today I'm openly talking about my experiences.
So, success and spirituality. Now,
Hmm.
by most people's definition, you're super duper success,
Hmm.
right? How does success and spirituality, combine, join? Is there an element of these to visioning, manifestation? Where does all of that come
See,
in?
I don't believe in manifestation so much because that only amplifies your desires, and the whole point of spirituality is to surrender them. And I don't know how we correlate success and spirituality. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're spiritual. Matlab, you'll be success in what term? Now you have to define success for me. Like, is it material success? Is that you have cars, you have a huge bank account, or success is I am joyful, I'm peaceful in whichever state that I'm in. Like my childhood, thankfully, was very nice. So a lot of it, the seeds were sown in my childhood. We never had money. Like we were very middle class people, and we really had always a tight budget, but we were very happy kids. So I don't equate success with
Money.
money.
Hmm.
My equation with success is okay. Okay, comfortable living. Of course, everyone wants a big house. There was a friend of mine who said, "I would rather be rich and sad than be poor and sad." I was like, "But are you working on that sadness, or are you working on
On
the
the
material
richness,
part of
correct.
it?"
Hmm.
So they are very like, it depends on the person, because they need to first define what success is for them.
Hmm.
A lot of times they don't even know what it is. Is it fame? Now you can get constant fame on Instagram. Now
Hmm.
you're famous. Are you? Does it help your spirituality? Does it help your mental health? No. So I don't know. The equation in itself is very. I think it's very exclusive. You can't include definitions in it. It's too vast for me. I don't think I can equate it, because spirituality has to do with your spirit, your mind, and success has to do with everything material. So it's basically quite
They're very
opposite.
different.
But how do you do that? And like, I mean, do you equate success with spirituality?
So I love visioning.
Okay.
Okay, because so there are different ways of thinking about it, and you think about your mind in different ways, but
Hmm.
you realize that you create the reality around you.
Hmm.
So in the same way that you think about I want to be happy,
Hmm.
the you can still create that in the form of visioning.
Hmm.
With regards to manifestation, I've noticed manifestation take place all the time.
Hmm.
The book that I wrote was pure manifestation.
Hmm.
Somebody came up and said that you want to publish it. I said, book is written. Let's do it.
Hmm.
Right? So
Hmm.
all of this happens very naturally. And I think that is the key to it. Knowing clearly what it is what that you want,
Hmm.
and then letting go of it.
Hmm.
But most people don't do either of these two.
Yeah.
Right? They cling on to what they
Yes.
want, or they don't put any action into it.
So that's a really nice way of seeing it. That you manifest, but then you drop it,
Hmm.
and then probably it happens. Because I don't know how it works. Because honestly, for me, I have dropped most of my desires, like 98%. Of course, I'm human. I'll still have them. I have them, but I've dropped quite a few because I'm like, okay, you do the deciding. Like my God will do the deciding. I'll just walk through it. I'll just give it my best. As I said, there's no point in thinking, oh, what is going to happen? What is going to happen next? Oh, I'll do this. I'll do that. Maybe necessarily those opportunities might not even come for you, especially in our profession, which is so, you don't even know if you have your next job.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about the success of a film. It's really about whether you'll sustain even after that success. Because a lot of them don't. It's just this, right? It just goes like this,
Highs
up
and
and
lows and
down.
highs and
Yes,
lows. Yeah.
yes. It's pretty crazy. And there's a story that I would want to share, which is a beautiful story about, it's in the Gurbani, which says, if you think that only hard work brings you what you have in life, then the person who works hardest the most is the person who's breaking stone on the road.
Mm.
Does he have money? Does he have everything that probably you have sitting in a house? Probably some people don't have to do a lot also, but they get so much money. So is hard work everything? It's really not. It's like, it's your karma from the past. Again, we go into that whole thing of karma and all that. So what I'm trying to say is that it's very complicated. You have to enter into it with this open vision, because there'll be so many different kinds of outlooks that you'll have. Some people might believe in manifestation, people might believe in meditation, some people might just not believe in anything and still be joyful. I've met some such kind of people also. My mother's one of them. She's just joyful anyway, like,
So
in
cute.
life. Yeah.
I
So
have
I
to meet
think,
Mama.
yeah, so I think it's just for each their own, but try to find what works for you and work towards it. Yeah.
I think it's experimentation, right? How would
Yes.
you define spirituality? Chalo, we can head towards the end of the podcast in this direction. How would you define spirituality?
I think as we say, it's quite a wide. See, I cannot define it because for you it may mean something else. For me, it may mean something else, and for a lot of others, it may mean something else. For some people, it's like, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. How do I be happy? Okay, maybe spirituality is equating to happiness somewhere. Some people are like, oh, we need to sit and meditate, and then that is spirituality for us, knowing the spirit, knowing all that. So when I was doing the art of living course also, what they say when they mean there is no body, there is even your breath, that's just the breath that you're taking in and taking out. There is prana inside you, which is at the navel region, which you have to focus on, where the prana sits. Now, because I've been meditating, I'm able to see the difference, that I am objective to what's happening in my body. So I'm not my mind because I'm seeing it chatter. I'm not the breath because I'm focusing. I'm seeing it. I'm not focusing on it. I'm seeing that there's breath in it. So what am I? So there's a completely different, spirituality has a different take for me. I have this obsession. I don't know if I should say that obsession, but I love God. I don't know how else to put it. My life is full of miracles. Maybe one day I'll talk about it. I have enough reason to believe in God, and I absolutely live in surrender. So for me, spirituality is really coming to a place where you have no desire from that standpoint, where you just surrender to the universe, to God, to whoever you believe in, and see how your life takes a turn. But the mind is such that it'll always bring back the chatter. So you need to control it. So for me, spirituality equates with, of course, being in a joyful state and understanding life and understanding yourself. Yeah.
Understanding life, understanding yourself. I think one of the best definitions was on thinking of spirituality as an exploration, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put on your little Indiana Jones hat and you go out and say, all right, I am open to experiencing. Many of us don't get to that step of open to experiencing, so we never actually walk down this path of understanding it. So I think, like you said, it's each to his own. You have to discover it for yourself.
Yes, and I also feel that what company you have makes a lot of difference. A lot of us are in bad company, we don't even realize it. Okay, chase your dreams, of course. You should be there, out there, chase your dreams. You want to be something, you'll work hard. May the universe conspire to bring you what you want. But be very careful of who you are chilling with. And out of loneliness, don't end up being in the wrong company. Because a lot of people are lonely. They're not necessarily alone. You know the difference, I'm sure. So, out of loneliness, they choose the wrong people to chill with. And my parents have been very strict from the beginning. They would always meet my friends. You want to see what their vision is, and now they trust me so much because the way I've been brought up, they trust me so much. They're like, wherever you go, we've instilled our values into you. Now you see the world the way you want to see it. But initially, they were very careful of who I was with. Was I in the right group? Was I, it's important because I feel I've always been in the right group. Like I think you attract your tribe also, as they say. But be very careful with who you are because bad habits will just creep onto you from another person without you even knowing it.
You pick them up completely unconsciously.
Yes.
You don't decide these.
Yes.
I think one of the best things I did recently, and maybe this is a good part of this, was, when you're young, you're like, I don't want make my friends to meet my parents, right? It's always keep them apart.
Yes.
Then when you get older, you're like, I want all my friends to meet my parents. Then let them all figure it out for themselves. It makes a big difference when you actually do that. I think it's a fantastic, habit for your social life to do.
Yes.
Amazing. Any last thoughts that you have for people who are listening to this that you would want to leave them with?
I think I've said a lot of things. I hope I've made sense, firstly, because I think, as I said, it's a very vast topic. There's so many things that are included in this, but all of us are actually just seeking to be peaceful, and there are different tools to it. So I hope you find your tool. I hope that you seek at least to find it, and not sink into your depression or give in to the negativities of life. Because of course there'll always be good. There'll always be bad. To be able to deal with troubles, you really need to focus on yourself, and that can only happen if you focus on spirituality. Find your way, find your guru if you can, or at least through books, or at least even through podcasts if you listen to something that really helps you. But keep an eye out and save yourself, and you can save yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much for being on the
Thank you.
podcast. This was amazing.
Thank you, Same. I loved it. Thank
Yay,
you.
your first podcast. So
Yes, yes.
yay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.